Good evening, and welcome to our series, Explorations in Savitri. As always, with our brother Alok Pandey. We are continuing on Canto 7, The Descent into Night, page 210, fourth line, or fifth line.
And I may add with a disclaimer, divine disclaimer. Only the divine can venture into this, as we shall see a little later.
Really?
Because he has to cure the roots of evil. What we have been doing thus far is only just cutting and giving it sometimes nice shapes. But the roots continue to be nourished within the human consciousness. That is the strange part. As we shall see by and by. And it takes many forms, many masks. And that's why it's so difficult, because we think this is evil, that is evil, based on the appearance. But really it is a whole state of consciousness which is hidden inside. And it takes appearances to suit an age, to suit its, wherever it is, whatever work it has to do. It can easily imitate. We read somewhere, it imitates the Godhead it denies. So,
In fact, the first few lines today are today's headlines.
Yes, today's headlines, you're right.
Yeah.
A zealot fervor pushed their ruthless cults. All faith not theirs, bled, scourged as heresy. They questioned, captived, tortured, burned or smote, and forced the soul to abandon right or die. As you said, the headlines going on today.
Yeah.
This is what life. By headlines, I mean these are the things that we are experiencing today.
Exactly.
It's still there, this state of consciousness. And at a miniature level, it's the spirit behind all fervent evangelistic attitude, even to convert others to our own ideology. It's a subtle level, it's the same thing. It takes this form at a very crude and another level. Amid her clashing creeds and warring sects, religion sat upon a blood-stained throne. 100 tyrannies oppressed and slew, and founded unity upon fraud and force. It's very interesting. Sri Aurobindo has used the word founded unity upon fraud and force. With reference to Pakistan, he has used fraud and force in a different way.
Yes.
This is as per K.M. Munshi's memory and record. So when he was asked about creation of Pakistan, he said it's been created by fraud and force. Yes. And therefore it is to unite one day, because you can't help it. It cannot last eternally. Even unity can be by fraud and force. Only what seemed was prized as real there. Now he is giving us all the markers. Things which are gross, things which are only immediately the senses can grasp them. They are regarded as real. Appearances are real. So anybody says anything, puts up a show, an appearance, and you feel that yes, display of power is considered to be powerful. Whereas Mother says that, true power hardly ever needs to express itself in these ways. It is very quiet, it's very peaceful. True power. The ideal was a cynic ridicule's butt, hooted by the crowd, mocked by enlightened wits. You see the subtle humor here. Enlightened wits. Spiritual seeking wandered outcasted. A dreamer's self-deceiving web of thought, or mad chimera deemed, or hypocrite's fake So if we look back few centuries back, now because of the supramental advent, things are different. But spiritual seeking, of course, in India, spiritual seeking has always been part of the evolution. So there was never a conflict between religion and spirituality. Another reason was that a spiritual master was beyond the scriptures. Truth was beyond the scripture. So you always had a natural inbuilt corrective. But otherwise, in many countries, in many religions, so to say, there was always a conflict not only between science and religion, but between religion and spirituality. So those who were truly, yes, those who were, like for instance in Islam, you see what happened to Sufi movement. The Sufis were persecuted. They are taking the name of Allah. They talk about, things, but they were persecuted. Even as recent as, I think, less than a decade back, this Sufi singer Nusrat Fateh Ali, he died. He is a singer. He is not even a Sufi mystic. He just sings Sufi songs, and God bless him. He sang very well. But when he died, so obviously he a lot of people liked him across the border. He has come several times to India and traveled all over the world. But then the government passed an order that, okay, take his mortal body to the grave, but do it very indiscreetly. We do it very discreetly. Without much, people shouldn't come to know about it, because otherwise it's not acceptable. Because he was singing Sufi songs, he was not even a Sufi mystic. So this you can see. Similarly, way back, if you see the Gnostics were Vedantins. Ancient Christian Gnostics were absolutely Vedanta. It's
totally persecuted.
Persecuted. So this what has happened in many places, many countries, in spiritual seeking. So it was considered as a dreamer's self-deceiving web of thought. Nobody could be beyond the Maulvi, the priest, the Pandit. So that was the...
In 500, when they had that great conclave of the Orthodox and the Western Catholicism, they decided that they would never teach reincarnation again, because it was not for the masses.
Yes.
Not for the masses. Yeah.
Because then the lure goes away. If you have many lives to improve yourself, why would you really desperately look for one foothold? So that's true, that many such things have happened, but it has to be also seen on an evolutionary ladder. When humanity is at a certain level of evolution, its religion is like that, its God is like that. But as it evolves, it automatically discards those and takes to...
And man begins to question.
Yes, man begins to question. Its passionate instinct called through minds obscure. Its passionate instinct trailed through minds obscure, lost in the circuits of the ignorance. And then he summarizes very beautifully. A lie was there the truth, and truth a lie. You see how truth can become a lie. Lie we can understand. People use lie to conceal a truth. And people begin to believe it. It's a lie. But by propaganda, people begin to believe that, yes, this is true. But not only what is spoken seemingly as truth is a lie, but also this truth is truth, yet it is a lie. See the beauty of it. At one place here he says, truth speaking was a stratagem in that place.
Yes.
Take for instance, God is one. Now who can dispute this? It's a fundamental truth. But the lie comes when you tag to it, God is one and He is the God whom I believe in. Now, between me and Gerard, we have a joke, we share. So Gerard has this lovely, wonderful person, at his age, you must have seen him, Oro Orchard.
Oh, I've known him for 50 years.
You just love him, adorable. So he would say, suddenly he knows few Hindi words, so he'll say, Sab ka malik ek. So I would say, and wo jo mera malik hai, wahi, he understands that. He says, there is only one master of the world, and I would say jokingly, yeah, and the one whom I believe in. So you be sure. And we both laugh. It's a way of saying that, look, how we can limit a truth, and vast truth, profound truth. Like iconoclasts. In a sense, they are right that, God is beyond form and God is beyond all these gods. But how it becomes a lie when you start breaking all these things? Because God is beyond forms, but He also manifests through countless forms. The many gods are nothing but His powers and aspects. So, truth was a lie not only in the sense that what was projected as truth was actually a lie, but also, very interestingly, there was a little twist given to truth and it became a lie. And people didn't notice it, couldn't discriminate it.
I'd like to read the next 4 lines.
Yes.
Because they're very special
Yes,
to me.
and they are, I think, most important. In fact, the next few lines are very important from the practical point of view. Here must the traveler of the upward way, because this state we encounter sometime or the other in our journey.
Yes.
Here must the traveler of the upward way, for daring hell's kingdoms, winds the heavenly route. So you have to go through hell if you want to reach heaven. At one more place he says, none can reach heaven who has not passed through hell.
Yeah.
So you have to go through it. Of course, hell and heaven here are not like the hell and heaven of religions,
No.
but as states of consciousness. Here must the traveler of the upward way, for daring hell's kingdoms, winds the heavenly route. Pause or pass slowly through that perilous space, a prayer upon his lips and the great name. The name of God is the Savior. Prayer. Otherwise, there is no way we can discern. The deception can be so tremendous. Its net is so profound. I was speaking the other day about Jonestown tragedy. I think it was in 80s or 90s, probably late 80s, I may be mistaken, or early 90s, where 900 members of a cult committed mass suicide because their master, Jim Jones, he said that, well, doomsday is there, and imagine, children,
everything.
women, they are in the name of. So how it can be so powerful. Its impact can be so much, it can take the mind captive in its net. But what saves there is the name divine. It doesn't matter. People often ask, this line when I have read, sometimes people have asked the question, which name? That's what we should avoid. The name that represents to us naturally the divine. That name which reminds us of the divine. It doesn't matter.
No.
If probed, not all discernment's keen spear point, he might stumble into falsity's endless net. That is why the mother was very careful that, you just remain indifferent to these fellows. Don't try to understand them or get into contact with them either through letters or, okay, let me see what is there. It's dangerous. Influence of these cults, these sects, these gurus, these swamis. Mother speaks about some of these swamis and sannyasis particularly. She says that they are very dangerous and many of them have this hypnotic power and they capture you in the net. And then probably the disciple must have got very shocked at this statement. So they said, Mother, all? So Mother said, no, there are very, very few of those for whom the orange dress is a natural expression of their inner truth. But for most, it is a deception. How careful we have to be. And particularly these, and she says they do a lot of tapasya. They get a lot of powers.
Oh, they get powers, yes.
Powers. So don't try to probe. A lot of people have this habit of, like net surfing, there is guru surfing. And, Mother says it's like doctor shopping. Trying in this, we experience it very common because all our doctors are all free of cost. So one doctor, you are not satisfied, you go to another, you go to a third one. It's dangerous because it creates confusion in the mind. Yes. So she would say, go to the doctor in whom you have faith.
Yes.
And then listen to him. Very simple. So go to a guru in whom you have faith. If you don't have faith, no problem. You are still a seeker, nothing wrong with that. But once you have found, then stay with that. Over his shoulder often he must look back, like one who feels on his neck an enemy's breath. Else, stealing up behind a treasonous blow, might prostrate cast, and pinned to unholy soil, pierced through his back by evil's poignant stake. So these beings are so dangerous, and we can never be vigilant enough. Strangely, we are vigilant against the divine, but not against the against evil. See, very often people claiming the validity of doubt often even feel that it's a smart thing to doubt. So even when there is a master whom you know to be a master, who is your guru, to doubt him becomes a way of life. But they never doubt their own opinions. They never doubt when blatantly they are being misled, that whether it's truly my calling or whether I am being misled along a path which is dangerous. So here he says that the need for vigilance. Sometimes people, okay, let me try what is there. So, one has to be so vigilant, because these forces whisper into the ear and give suggestions to the mind. And if we accept it, then it becomes dangerous.
I would tell us an experience of my own.
Yes.
Well, it was actually mine and my wife's, Mary Helen. We came back from Aurobindo after 12 years, and I was given a job. We found a house to rent. That first night we went to sleep. Suddenly, there was this being on my chest, choking me to death. And his hands were so strong that I couldn't get her name out. Right. And only at the very last moment I said, "Ma," and he left. Mary Helen wakes up and she tells me there was a being on my chest and he was strangling me to death.
Yeah.
And she got mother's name out also. Yes. And he would come back. For 1 week he came back, but each time we said the name sooner.
Yes.
And finally, when he came, we said "Ma," and he never came back again.
That's right. That's right. So that's it, the great name. A
The
prayer
name.
upon the lips. Yes. And the great name. Absolutely. So might one fall on the eternal's road, forfeiting the spirit's lonely chance in time, and no news of him reach the waiting gods, marked missing in the register of souls. See, as we begin to aspire, whether people note it or not, they know it or not, but the gods know it. That's how in Indian mythology you have several times the rishi is aspiring, and before anybody else knows, Indra knows that this fellow is aspiring, he is doing tapasya, and he's a threat to my kingdom. So they note, because now they have a role to play, special role. They are assigned for this evolutionary journey. So they have already noted that out of these billions and billions of people, there are these few who are really aspiring, and now the fire in them is reaching higher and higher. But when this happens, suddenly from their register, suddenly they say, where is that fire? They identify us by that fire. Where is that fire? Where is that cry? Where is that call? We don't hear it anymore. So here it is about that.
Yeah.
His name, the index of a failing hope. Then what happens? That such a person is removed from the list where you are a candidate to the high fire and put in the list of failing hope. The position of a dead remembered star.
Look at that.
Now comes again
Yes.
the safety. Only were safe who kept God in their hearts. This is the safety. Nothing. No discernment, no intellectual analysis.
Yes.
No trying to mentalize and thinking, oh no, this is right. Always one is always right. The mind can easily become a prey. But when God is in the heart, there is the remembrance here, then we are safe. Courage, their armor. Faith, their sword. They must walk. The hand ready to smite, the eye to scout, casting a javelin regard in front, heroes and soldiers of the army of light. This is the true sense of being a soldier of God. And see how this has been distorted, whether it's jihad or something else where you actually go and slay people who don't. It's a complete distortion. But truly, who is a soldier of the divine? Who is vigilant, casting a javelin regard. Don't wait to come very near and see. Don't, that curiosity kill the cat. From a distance, you should know this is dangerous. This being, this force which is emanating, stay away, casting a javelin. Then they remember the divine all the time within their heart. They are courageous and they have faith, which is their sword.
And they're not afraid to fight.
Not afraid to fight. But this battle is an inner battle.
Yes.
The moment they see falsehood, they cast
Yes.
it. This
Yes.
sword is not the blood dripping sword.
No.
This is the inner sword of faith. Because these beings come to slay faith. That's their objective. So you have to safeguard. Hardly even so, the grisly danger passed, released into a calmer, purer air, they dared at length to breathe and smile once more. These children of light, these soldiers of light, slowly then this darkness is taken away. Once more they moved beneath a real sun,
A real sun.
not artificial lights. Though hell claimed rule, the spirit still had power. This no man's land he passed without debate. Him the heights missioned, him the abyss desired. None stood across his way, no voice forbade. So in the journey, a time comes when on one side we experience the pull from the higher worlds, but we also experience the pull from the depths, abysses, because they also want. And Aurobindo cautions this at several places, particularly in the synthesis. He says that, many people that I am an instrument of God. It can be very dangerous because it takes just a little twist from, being an instrument God to becoming an instrument of the devil. Yes. So one has to be so careful.
In this next line,
For swift and easy is the downward path. And now towards the night was turned his face. Swift and easy is the downward path. There is a poem of Aurobindo. I wish I had got it, but next time we can read it. It's a small poem, Facilis Descensus, where he says that to climb up is really a Herculean task, and there is one upward path through which you climb. This path is not this religion or that sect, but the path of faith, the path of aspiration, surrender, courage. But 1,000 roads through which you can fall. Maybe if somebody could take out, otherwise next time we should read it. It's very significant. A greater darkness waited, a worse rain. So here now, up till now we have seen religion. It will come again and again. But
yes.
People often say, yes, so religion should be taken away. Because religion can easily be turned into something which can perpetuate evil in mankind. It's a divisive force. But there is
where is the anchor?
No, not only that. There is something still worse. Those people who try to destroy religion very often hold within their heart something still more dark and dangerous. And it reminds me of the dialogue between Dalai Lama, present His Holiness Dalai Lama, and Mao Zedong. And they, for some time they were trying to swallow Tibet, and all this was happening. Till then he was thinking that this is not right, whatever is happening. And they were saying, we will help you to develop this area. But actually, under the name of development, it was to eventually gobble up.
Sure.
Finally, he was called for a meeting by Mao Zedong, and he wanted to meet and tell him, our culture is being destroyed, our life is being destroyed, and we don't want this kind of development at the expense of our deeper reality. But when he met him, till then he did not know how dangerous he could be. And well, it must have been a divine grace or an action of truth that while speaking, he suddenly uttered a sentence. He said, "You know what? We must make sure that all this religion goes away. It's just an opium, and we must make sure that we finish it." And that's the time he became extremely that this is a dangerous man I am, meddling with. And after that, he said he didn't say anything there, and then he made escape. It's a very amazing story, how Dalai Lama escaped to India. It's like a thriller, a spiritual thriller. That one sentence made him suddenly become aware. And it can be very dangerous. Look at Subhash Chandra Bose. He went and met hands with Hitler. And when this photograph was shown to Aurobindo, he said he doesn't know what he is doing. If Hitler comes to India, then let's pack up all the ashramas and all spirituality for 1,000 years. He didn't know. And he thought he's doing a great work. So,
Yes.
getting into contact with these beings. A greater darkness waited, a worse reign. If worse can be where all is evil's extreme. Yet to the cloaked, the uncloaked is naked worst. Now, what was cloaked? Religion is cloaked. The cloak it wears is that believe in God. There is a cloak of ethics. There is a cloak of right and wrong. Ultimately, all this to please God. It's a cloak. But behind there is evil and darkness. Now, evil has dropped its cloak. And what comes into the forward? In religion, there is all their private acts belied the pose.
Ah, yes.
They threw stones at those who committed sin, but themselves they were indulging in the same sins. Last time we were reading about this. Now you see what happens when you take this away. The so-called pseudo-liberals, not the true liberal spirit, but pseudo-liberal, which says, religion is a divisive force. We should allow people whatever they want. It's like a freedom. So what kind of freedom it can be? There God and truth and the supernal light had never been, or else had power no more. As when one slips in a deep moment's trance over mind's border into another world, he crossed a boundary whose stealthy trace I could not see, but only the soul feel. Now it will be another bogey. Religion raises the bogey of God. Now there will be the bogey of freedom and liberty. And what will happen in that name? Because this is a great ideal. Into an armored, fierce domain he came and saw himself wandering like a lost soul amid grimmed walls and savage slums of night. Around him crowded grey and squalid huts, neighboring proud palaces of perverted power.
Alliteration, 4 P's.
Yes.
Look at that.
And
Proud
this is
palaces of perverted power.
yes, capitalism where you suck everybody and greed and lust for power and
Yes.
you name it and it's there. Every ideology you will see it here. In human quarters and demonic wards. So, it's very interesting. Around him crowded grey and squalid huts, neighboring proud palaces of perverted power, inhuman quarters and demonic wards. A pride in evil hugged its wretchedness. A misery haunting splendor pressed those fell. Dun suburbs of the cities of dream life. You can
Powerful.
almost picture Mumbai here. It must be everywhere, but Mumbai comes to my mind. Proud palaces, and right near there will be slums.
Yes.
And in these slums, crimes will be hashed of the worst kind. And what else will happen, we will see here. There, life displayed to the spectator's soul the shadowed depths of her strange miracles. A strong and fallen goddess without hope. All these nightclubs and rave parties, all these you will see. Obscured, deformed by some dire Gorgon spell. We know that this is the serpent demon. Medusa was there living,
The Gorgon.
Gorgon.
Yes, yes.
who would cast a spell and make its victim a prey by the mere looks. And after that, the victim is helpless, captive, cannot escape. So, Gorgon spell. As might a harlot empress in a bouge.
Bouge,
See,
bouge.
This was recently being debated that, well, freedom. So, what's wrong? Pornography should be available. What's wrong with it? People should choose. Not knowing that people won't choose anymore. It is these forces will choose. So many such things, which come with so-called liberal thought. But this is another way for darkness to steal inside. So it uses one door or the other, one chink or the other. Look at this. As might a harlot empress in a bouge, nude, unashamed, exulting she appraised her evil face of perilous beauty and charm, and drawing panic to a shuddering kiss twixt the magnificence of her fatal breasts, allured to their abyss, the spirits fall. And this empress here, of course, there are stories also like that. But this empress is the mother of evil. And she will multiply itself. See, Aurobindo is almost foreseeing these sites, these, this television, how it will. Of course, there are good uses also of this, but how she will create many emanations round the world, and people will be caught and trapped in it. So we'll read few more lines. Across his field of sight she multiplied, as on a scenic film or moving plate. Look at it.
Yeah.
So it is nothing but, the spread of pornographic.
I asked Amal once what the moving plate was.
Yeah.
And he said before film, they used these plates to create photographs.
Yes. Yeah. The implacable splendor of her nightmare pomps. So the nightclubs where, all these rave parties go on. On the dark background of a soulless world, she staged between a lurid light and shade her dramas of the sorrow of the depths, written on the agonized nerves of living things. Epics of horror and grim majesty rise statues spat and stiffened in life's mud. A glut of hideous forms and hideous deeds, paralyzed pity in the hardened breast. So what happens, their effect is to take away kindness, true love. I often, when with young children, sometimes we interact and, nowadays they are exposed to all these things. And so sometimes people ask this question, what's wrong with pornography? So I say nothing, but it takes away love. Because it kills those deeper emotions in the heart. So it paralyzes pity, horror. You watch these things like the Blue Whale game recently. So there are people who actually, they enjoy doing such things. And Aurobindo knew it way back.
Yeah.
In booths of sin and night repairs of vice. Means morning you have decided, you have taken away the vice and your hangover is over and you feel, no, I shouldn't go back to alcohol, I shouldn't get into these activities. But night, they repair the vice.
Night repairs.
Just imagine. Their places, their beings, their
Exactly.
things like that. Stifled infamies of the body's concupiscence and sordid imaginations etched in flesh turned lust into a decorative art. Tattoos of all kinds. No space is spared. Not that there can be good tattoos. Old time people used to write their names. But otherwise sordid imaginations. Serpents and scorpions and God knows what.
I'm not going to comment.
Yeah. Please. Abusing nature's gift, her pervert skill immortalized the sown grain of living death. In a mud goblet, poured the Bacchic wine to a satyr, gave the thesis of a god. So, says, yeah, this enjoyment, this happiness, this pleasure, this is God. After all, isn't God Ananda? So this is Ananda, ready-made Ananda, easy to find Ananda. Ananda for a few pennies. And obviously they don't know what they mean by Ananda. So this is I am deliberately not elaborating on these lines because they are very evident. Second is that
Yeah.
it's no point in, over elaborating them.
Exactly.
But I am sure any of us can connect with these lines and know what he is really referring to. And we'll stop here, I think, and continue next.
2, 3.
So, but what they are doing is essentially they are perverting the truth, distorting the truth. Now they are coming in absolutely unabashed, unashamed way.
Yes.
So he uses the word that to the cloaked evil, the naked evil is
The
worst.
uncloaked.
Uncloaked.
See the mercy.
So it is what was hidden behind the nice mask of belief in God and religion and all that. Now it has stripped itself bare and says that, well, everything is justified because each of us is free to be what we are.
Yeah.
So we'll stop here.